This is the last preview of my series, and it is all about the NFC West. And the NFC West, in my opinion, doesn't get talked about a lot, or doesn't get talked about enough. I don't really know why, because 3 out of the 4 teams in this division have won Super Bowls. And so I'm not really sure why this division doesn't get talked about that often. And I thought the NFC West was going to be a perfect way to end the series, because it's the division that a lot of people don't talk about. And it's a division that, in my opinion, has a lot of interesting things happening and a lot of things popping up. For those of you that don't know, the NFC West consists of the Los Angeles Rams, the San Francisco 49ers, the Arizona Cardinals, and we absolutely cannot forget the Seattle Seahawks. This year, each team has different things going on. I think the Rams last year were by far the best team in this division, and it showed. I think the Rams are the most consistent team in this division. And then you have the Cardinals, and I don't know what happens with the Cardinals after Game 10 in the season. They just always seem to do something that doesn't make sense. Last season, they really needed a pass rush, and I think they were able to get a pass rush, so kudos to the Arizona Cardinals for that. And then you have the Seattle Seahawks, and for a long time, the Seattle Seahawks were one of the staples of the NFC West. Right now, they're rebuilding, they have a new coach, they're trying to figure out some things. I thought they drafted pretty well, so the Seattle Seahawks are here. We'll see what they have going on. And then finally, we have the San Francisco 49ers, and if you have watched me or listened to me talk at all, you will know that the San Francisco 49ers often make me upset for a lot of different reasons, and I'm not going to get into that here. The other thing I think is going to be interesting this year about the NFC West, sorry, the cicadas are so loud. The other thing I think that's going to be very interesting this year about the NFC West is how much they're traveling out east. And I don't think whenever we're looking at schedules and competition and who our teams play, and the week after they played this and the week after they did that, the NFC West travels to the East Coast a lot. And for some people, that might not seem like a big deal. However, they're traveling into time zones that are 4 hours different than their own time zone. So think about that for a second. Not only are they traveling there to play the game, 4 hours different time zones, then they have to go back home, 4 hour different time zones, and then they have to get ready to play another game. I know a lot of times we want to act like traveling is not that big of a deal and they'll be fine because they travel in style and this, that, and the third. Their bodies are still bodies, okay? And so I think it is actually a really big deal that the NFC West is going from the West Coast to the East Coast so many times this year. So I'm just calling it out as something to be aware of. I think the NFC West this year might be a division that plays spoiler for a lot of teams, or who knows, they might have some teams that really come in and surprise some people. I'm looking at you, Arizona Cardinals, because I know last year I started to get high on Arizona.
2,000 years later.
Don't forget to hit that like button if you haven't already. Don't forget to make sure that you are subscribed to my channel. And if you think about it, turn on those notification bells. And maybe if you want to make me really happy, leave me a comment in the comment section below and let me know what you think about this video. As I've done every single week, I am going to roll some clips so you can see the people that I spoke to concerning the NFC West. A little bit further removed, you've had a little bit of time to kind of look and see what you think. How are you feeling about the draft overall?
Yeah, so I mean, 11 picks, and sometimes you get volume, but you're like, okay, it kind of feels like maybe high floor, low ceiling guys.
Okay.
And I don't think that was the case here. I think John Schneider took his shots at like over and over again at pretty high ceiling guys. You mentioned Damian Martinez from University of Miami, you know, bruising running back who's got enough agility. We took him in the 7th round.
Right.
Most people were like he's a 3rd or 4th round talent. There was
Easy.
a lot of running backs, but you know, that were available. So dudes like him fell. And then Torrey Horton from CSU, it's like, oh, if he didn't have a knee injury, he's a 2nd rounder, early 3rd rounder. We get him in the 5th. And even on a recovering knee, he's running a 4.41, but he runs in the 4.3s when he's fully healthy. And he's not just a speed guy. You know, we got MVS in the offseason. And in Clint Kubiak's scheme, you need an MVS type who can still burn and clear things out for the stuff that's going to run underneath all your dig routes and stuff like that. You have to have that speed element. So we go get MVS on a pretty cheap deal.
This draft, I was just like floored because one, we have 2 first-round picks next year. So that was my favorite move of the draft.
I'm so excited for this because I seriously have been avoiding your stuff because I'm like, I'm gonna know what he thinks before he says it. So so you really were like, this is fantastic. This is everything.
I do not care for first round picks anymore because I know and trust what they got going on, and for them to flip our first round pick for another first round pick next year and still get the guy that we were looking for in Terrence Ferguson, the tight end, it's like, oh, we are cooking again. Like, how they let us get 2 first-round picks next year? Like, we have a backup plan on a backup plan to fill a hole that we obviously need in developing a backup quarterback for when Stafford rides off into sunset. And again, I think Stafford's going to be to us more than the 2 years that is agreed on the contract because, again, this guy is still playing at elite level. There's nothing that I see falling off from him. Like, he's not playing like a Jimmy G, who's the current backup right now. So it's like, kill all that noise. So we have a backup plan on a backup plan. So that was my favorite move in the draft of them flipping that into getting 2 first-round picks next year.
I like it. Yeah. Who was that? Was it the Falcons, I guess?
Yes.
That came up and got one of the guys to free agency. And I mentioned before, I feel like you all were like the Bills of last season as far as, well, the Bills still kind of have salary cap issues, but you all had so many people hitting the cap, so many things going on. How did you feel like the team maneuvered through the offseason and free agency?
Well, I'm just going to give you this list of people that are not on the team this year.
Okay.
That would be Javon Hargrave, which I would say some people would say that's a good thing he's not because, of course, he had issues stopping the run. But he also got injured last year. Leonard Floyd, one and done. Deebo Samuel traded to the Washington Commanders. You got Dre Greenlaw and Hufanga that both went to the Denver Broncos. Mooney Ward signs with the Indianapolis Colts, so I'm going to see him a lot this year. You've got Aaron Banks that went to the Packers. Let's see, he's a guard. You got Jalen Moore, who was a backup offensive tackle, played when Trent Williams was playing. He, let's see, where did he sign? He signed with the Chiefs. He actually signed with the Chiefs. So lots of losses this offseason and not a lot of gains, which, you know, you really can't talk about a lot of gains because, you know, they were trying to save money to pay Brock Purdy, trying to save money to, of course, get the extension for Kittle and keep him in the book on the books. So, you know, not a lot, you know, it's kind of like when the bill comes, you know, and you kind of just keep, it's kind of like with student loans. And you try and
then defensive tackle, pass rushing interior defensive lineman, which I would argue is a premium position. When you find a defensive lineman who can stop the run and rush the pass, that's a first rounder. You know, and second round cornerbacks, edge rushers, right? Not taking guards and inside linebackers in the first round, right? But taking those in round 3 and 4 and 5, right?
Yeah.
So
you're there. So let's talk about the draft. So. I know, obviously, first round pick was Walter Nolan. I had him going 15. So when he went 16, I was like, you messed up my board. But
how dare you?
But how do you feel? I mean, I think it was a fantastic pick, just knowing what I know about the Cardinals. And I will be honest, I know more about West Coast teams now because I do this than I probably did before I started talking to fans over there. I say over there as if it's totally far, but. So how did you feel about the draft? Like, did you like the draft picks? I know you all got a Texas player, but we will leave him where he's at. But how did you feel overall about the draft?
I loved day 1 and 2. And for day 3, I liked a few picks. And with the rest, I'm like, okay, I'm going to trust the GM on this. I was not as high in day 3, but I didn't hate it. There were just some other players I liked. But day 1 and 2, I just think they nailed that. You know, you talk about Walter Nolan. You know, that was – through some of the live streams and YouTube stuff that I do, that seemed like the player that Cardinals fans were pining for the most. Like that's the guy who was really showing up in a lot of mock drafts. And it was
As I've done every other week, I want to take some time to thank every person that spoke to me. A lot of people were shocked whenever I was doing this 32 fan series that I could find people in the NFC West. So if you're in this video for the NFC West, I appreciate you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for deciding to do this with me. The other thing I want to say, like I've tried to say in every single video, every single person that I speak to, their information will be in the description of their video. Also, the way this is going to release is the team that I think is going to finish last in the division is going to be on Monday. The team I think is going to finish third in the division is going to be on Tuesday. The team I think is going to finish second in the division is going to be on Wednesday. And the team that I think is going to win this division is going to release on Thursday. I kind of think I messed that up, but I don't really know. I'm just going to leave it. It is what it is at this point. If you've been here with me from the beginning and you've watched every single episode of these, thank you. I appreciate you. Or if you've just been here watching the teams that your team is going to play, I appreciate you for that. Also, if you've been here watching these videos because you're trying to think about some fantasy things and you're trying to see what people are saying and what players they're talking about, I appreciate you too. I appreciate everybody for being here watching, and I appreciate you all showing interest and getting excited about these just as excited as I get. And I have to end this video because apparently nature is over me. So I will see you in my next video.